Hey there, and welcome to the weekly news recap here on Bald Prairie Real Estate. It's July 28th. My name is Matthew Pfeifer, real estate agent in Regina, and that is my trusted assistant, Matilda. This is where I go through the week's most interesting real estate related news topics and give you my thoughts and opinions on it. This week, we're talking about why the Bank of Canada chose to raise interest rates in July. We're talking about what they went through in their meeting minutes. What are the fastest selling cities in Ontario? A way you can pay your real estate agent by the hour. No more commissions to sell your house. We'll also be talking about a recent report out that says month over month, Canada saw the fastest home price increase. And no, that's not from a real estate company. But before we do that, let's get into another one of my terrible dad jokes. Before I met my wife, I asked a girl out on a date to go to the gym with me. She never showed up. And that's when I knew we weren't going to work out. Let's start off as I always do with a super quick education segment. And this week I figured let's talk about where's the best place online to look for houses for sale. You've got a lot of different website options. There's things like Zillow, Point2 Homes, House Sigma is a really good place. And then you've got Realtor.ca. That's kind of your four big websites. Zillow and Point2 Homes just take the information from Realtor.ca and put it out in a slightly different way of formatting it. Then you've got House Sigma. That's the one that's a little bit different. They still take the information from Realtor.ca, but what they do provide in Toronto, Vancouver, and now in Calgary is sold price information. So you can go and see what houses have been selling for. Realtor.ca is also working to expand sold price information. The problem when it comes to displaying sold prices is that you need to have permission from the local real estate board to publish that. Right now across Canada by default, sold price information is not made publicly available. Slowly, we're starting to see that change. The real estate boards are making this information publicly available, and that's where websites have started to pick this information up, and Realtor.ca is trying to lead from the forefront on this, and I hope they do this, and we'll see sold price information across the country as this slowly gets approved. The other thing that Realtor.ca is going to have rolling out is what's called open offers. That is where a seller can put a home up for sale, and you as a home buyer will know what the different offer prices are and where your offer potentially stacks up. That's going to take some time to roll out, but that's some of the changes they're looking to make. Now, I've done a longer video on how you can use Realtor.ca to search for a home. I'll put a link to that in the description of this video, and one of them fancy pop-up cards will be popping up right now, so you can go directly to that. The first article here is a way to pay a real estate agent by the hour. This is a new company out of Vancouver called Realtor by Retainer, where you have the option to no longer pay a real estate agent by commission, but by the hour. And judging by what I've seen in some of my comment section, this is going to make a lot of you very happy, because I've seen people say, well, they're not worth what they get for those commissions. Well, now you have the choice to pay them by the hour. So this company offers a way to pay agents where you, when you're selling your house, can choose how many hours you want to have that agent for and pay them accordingly. I think it starts at about $2,000 and works its way up to about $7,000 based on how many hours you want to have them on retainer for. So no longer paying them by commission. It's going to save you some money when you're selling your house. You still have to pay the buyer's agent. They recommend by commission, but they do have options to make it a flat fee. So you as a seller can choose that and save yourself some money. So this is fantastic for those that feel that real estate agents shouldn't be paid by commission. You can now pay them by hour. Next up, a report from Zoocasa on the fastest selling cities in Ontario based on days on market. So what Zoocasa has done here is they've ranked Ontario cities 1 through 23 for longest to shortest days on market. And they've used that to determine what are the most competitive real estate markets in Ontario. Number one here was Caledon at 31 days was average days on market. Shortest was London at 11 days on market. Toronto was 7th at 20 days on market. Now remember, when they talk about days on market, that is from when the house was first put up for sale to when it was sold firm, no conditions. That means that when a buyer places an offer and it is conditional, and while we're still seeing a lot of unconditional offers, it's far less common than we saw in 2021 and early 2022. You're probably seeing the majority of offers now having conditions, where it was obviously the opposite in those years. So those conditions are going to take usually a week on the very shortest to typically 2 weeks on the longer end to be satisfied. Meaning that if a house sells 11 days on market, realistically, it was an accepted offer first day on the market, and then about another 10 days that it was conditional. So even in Toronto, where houses are selling 20 days on market, that means the sellers are typically accepting an offer within the first week, and then it's conditional for approximately another 10 to 14 days. So we've seen across the board a fairly hot market in Ontario, but that is something that's going to change because this, of course, is looking at previous months' data where the market has been much hotter. We're seeing Toronto inventory levels increase, and that is going to increase days on market. So be interesting to come back to this in a couple months and see what's changed. And while I know people in Ontario become accustomed to seeing houses sell in a matter of days, and if it stays on the market for a week or two, that must be indicative the house is terrible, the market is completely slowed down. That's not really indicative of what happens in a more balanced market. Houses typically don't take days to sell, but usually weeks or months. It's not uncommon in a more balanced market to see homes sit in the market for 2 or 3 months before they sell. So we should expect this to continue to extend out and see longer days on market as the market cools off. This article is out of Canadian Mortgage Trends, and it's talking about what the Bank of Canada was looking at when they decided to raise rates in July. Recently, the Bank of Canada has started releasing its meeting minutes so that you can read through that meeting and understand why the Bank of Canada chose to make the interest rate decision that they did. So in this case here, you can go through and you can see why in July they chose to raise interest rates. They talked about wanting to stay ahead of inflation, that while they think things are heading in the right direction, there's still more work to be done, and that holding off raising interest rates would potentially stoke the fires and increase inflation again. They also specifically talked about the recent surge in population putting upward pressure on inflation, something I talked about last week and something I've talked about previously, that as we welcome now in the case of well over 1 million new Canadians in just one single year, and probably on pace to do that again, as they arrive in Canada, they have to buy things, clothing, items for their home, cars, and of course they have to either rent or buy a home. All of that consumer spending gets fed into the inflation calculation and drives up inflation. So right now, the Bank of Canada and the Government of Canada are basically fighting against each other. The Government of Canada wants to increase population so that it ramps up GDP and the economy numbers, while the Bank of Canada is trying to tampen down inflation, and those two right now aren't meshing very well. The headline in this article says that the Teranet Home Price Index sees the largest month-over-month price increase in 17 years. This is a really good example of a headline that's designed to get you to click on it, and while the information isn't incorrect, it's designed in a way to make you click the article and read through it. The Teranet Home Price Index is a good price tracking index, but it has a significant Achilles heel, and that is that it tracks price information from possession day. Now, this is different where when you look at average price or the Canadian Real Estate Association's composite benchmark price, that is when the deal is firm. So a possession is going to be probably 2 or 3 months after the deal is done. So that means that the Teranet Home Price Index is typically 2 to 3 months behind the actual market. And I talked about this about 6 or 8 months ago, where the Teranet Home Price Index had showed the most significant month-over-month price decline that they ever had on record. And that was accurate if you were looking at sales that happened in the mid to late spring, because that's when we saw the biggest price declines last year. And this seeing the biggest price increase month over month in 17 years, that's how long they've been tracking. That is accurate if you're talking about what happened with sales 2 and 3 months ago. So the headline, it's designed to get you click, and the Teranet Home Price Index isn't inaccurate. It's just a little bit behind the market. So right now, if you go look at the average home price, the most recent data shows a price decline last month. The composite benchmark price, which tends to also be a little bit slower than average price to react, showed a price increase. Really what we saw month over month was maybe a modest price increase, depending on what metric you're looking at, or a slight decrease, but definitely not the largest month over month price increase in 17 years. That's one of the reasons I use the composite benchmark price, and I talk about that in my monthly Canadian real estate market updates, which I'll be talking next month. I expect we're going to see those price declines reflected in that composite benchmark price. So get subscribed to Bald Prairie Real Estate so you don't miss that video when that comes out. If you're thinking about buying a house in Regina, I'd love to be able to help you out. But anywhere in Canada, if you're looking to buy a house and you don't already have a great real estate agent, if you look in the description of this video, there's a link to my calendar where you can book me in for a buyer's consultation. I'm going to give you a call, learn about what's important to you and not only only real estate agent, but also in a home. And then I'm gonna get you paired up with the best real estate agent in your market. I'll handpick a great one for you. And since you obviously love learning about real estate, and like I said, that monthly Canadian real estate market update is coming out really soon, but right here is the most recent one that I've done, and you can see what's going on in your real estate market. If you love this video, please give this video a like, subscribe to Bald Prairie Real Estate so you don't miss any more of these news updates. Put some comments in the comment section below because I love chatting with you guys there. And as always, thanks very much for watching.